I'm Dawn from Paint Party with Dawn, and today I'd like to do something I've never done before, and that is videotape myself instructing a painting. I was given the idea by my cousin Hagen. Thank you, Cuzzy. What will you need for this project? 16 by 20 canvas, plain canvas. You can get at Michael's or Joann's or pretty much any craft store. I think Myers and Walmart have them too. Acrylic paint. For this painting, I decided to do bright colors since right now there's a lot of doom and gloom. We're in the middle of a pandemic. So I wanted to use colors that signify hope. And I also wanted to paint a painting that signified hope, and the cross is the greatest symbol of hope. But you will need acrylic paints in any color to, maybe if you have a room in mind where you want to hang the painting, you can go with that theme. I just use a regular Corel plate as a palette for my paints, and I just chose a bunch of bright colors. But you always want to have white and black. I have tons of brushes that I use every day to paint with, but for this painting you'll only need 3. And they're flat brushes, and you can get them at Michael's. Michael's has a really nice economical set. Each one of the brushes have a number on it. This one, the number 12, is the big brush that I call Bertha. And this one is the number 6, and this one is the number 2, the little brush that I call Bella. And the first thing you want to do is dip those in the water. You want to have some water to rinse your brushes, and you want to have some paper towel to dab your brushes on. And of course, last but not least, gotta have some wine. Okay, we're gonna start with Bertha. And we want to paint the background. Background's the first thing we want to do. And we're going to do that we're going to start at the top with a light color. So I'm going to go with yellow. And I'm going to paint the very top of the canvas. Paint the very top of the canvas yellow. I paint every part of the canvas, the top, the sides, and the bottom of it, along with the face. So my brush is pretty wet. You want to make sure that it doesn't drip. So you want to get that drip. So you have to be careful of that. Don't get your brush too wet. And I'm kind of going into the shape of a V. So I'm putting that V on there. It's a shape of a V. And my strokes are following that shape. Then from the yellow, I'm going to move on to the orange. I'm not going to rinse my brush. And I want to blend the colors. I don't want it to look like 2 separate colors. I want the colors to blend together. I'm going to use a little bit of water. And then I'm going to add a little white now to the yellow, right here at the top. making sure that I stay with the strokes that I already have on the canvas. Want to make sure I get that top really good. I'm starting to see it take shape. I like it. From that orange, I'm going to go to the hot pink. That's a very bright color. When you're doing this at home, you might put a color on and go, whoa, I don't like that color. Don't worry about it. If that happens, let it dry completely and then just paint over it with white and choose another color. Of course, you'll have to let that white dry. And you can do this at your own pace and pause this if I'm going too fast. All right, I'm going to do a little bit more hot pink. I like to add some water sometimes. It makes the thickness easier to work with. And it flows nicer on the canvas. Sometimes when you do a brush stroke, you can see the brush strokes on the canvas. You don't want that for this painting, so what you want to make sure that you do is you make sure that you take your brush strokes all the way off the canvas, like this. That way you won't see those strokes. Make sure you get your sides of the canvas. Looking good. Don't drink your rinse water. That's a rule in all of my paint party classes. And don't dip your brush in your drink. I've done that before. Okay. Moving on. We're going to go to fuchsia. Notice how it all has that V shape going all the way down. That's a good thing. You want to maintain that. You don't want them to look like separate colors. You want the colors to all blend together as it goes up. Or down. whichever way you look at it. Alright, I think it needs a little more fuchsia. When we get toward the bottom, it gets harder to paint, so all I do is I turn my canvas upside down so I can get at the top easier now. I can also catch up on this side, which I've been missing a little bit of. And then my final color is going to be blue. Blend those colors together, it kind of turns into a purple. And I'm going to have a little bit of black with the blue here. To make it a dark blue. And what that signifies to me is from the darkness comes the light. From the darkness comes the light. I kind of like that thought. Because we will get out of this. And a true artist, this is a sign that I'm a true artist, having paint everywhere. And I'm getting the bottom right now. You want to paint that too. Be careful when you pick it up. Right. Looks good. I got a little bit of blue paint on here, so I'm just going to take my paper towel and wet it. Wipe that off. Rinse out my brush. It looks like there's a spot there now because that paint wasn't dry. So I just got to clean that up a little bit. All right. Right down here, I want to bring a little bit more of the color down into the black. And to me, that looks pretty darn good. We're gonna let that dry and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, we've had a little break. Let the canvas dry. By now it should be dry to the touch. And we're gonna move on by using the number 3 brush and black paint. While I was letting that the canvas dry, I went and got some clean water and cleaned off my Bertha brush because I'm not gonna be using it anymore, for now anyway. And how I do the cross is I get some black paint and I go probably about, you know, a ½ an inch down from the top, but you can go closer to the top. It all depends on what you want. And I do a straight line with the top. I think that might be a little too much. From there, I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom. What these are basically triangles. A triangle here on the side. And one on this side. So you've got your basic outline of the cross on there. And you can, you know, fix it up, clean it up, make it look nicer. We're not done with it yet. I like that outline. I think it's pretty good. So now I want to create the color of the cross. And since I don't have a teal color on my palette, I have to make one. So how I do that, I'm going to use the number 6 brush, flat brush, and I'm going to get some blue paint, and I'm going to mix it with this dark hunter green. So it's like cobalt blue, dark hunter green, or any kind of blue and dark green. Now once I get that color, I'm going to add a little white to it. I don't want to get all the white messy, so I'm just going to grab a little bit from the edge and mix it with that color I just mixed. And it's going to be a nice teal color. And then I'm just going to pull it down from the black because I want some of the black to be in it. It gives it kind of a rustic look. And you might have to go back and make more of the color. I like that black in there. Makes it interesting. I always go with the shape that's already on there with my strokes. Again, you have to be careful about leaving your brush strokes on the canvas. Kind of take them all the way down to a good stopping point. I'm going to put a little bit more black paint on there so I can pull it in. I really like how that looks. And as I'm going along, I keep making more of this teal color. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. And sometimes, as Bob Ross would say, you make happy accidents. That's not a bad thing. I'm going to put a little bit more of the black on the bottom. That was my husband coughing, by the way, if you heard that. He doesn't have coronavirus, though. That's a smoker's cough. But I'm happy to say he hasn't smoked in over a week. So I'm pretty proud of him for that. Ooh, that's pretty. I want to kind of clean up around the edges a little bit. Sometimes it starts to get a little thick and you want to add some water, make it flow better. I think we're going to stop right there on the cross. I'm going to let my brushes get a little damp there so that they're easier to clean off. And we'll take a little break. Okay, it's time now to move on to the next step. We're going to use the number 3 brush and black, and we're going to do the little fringe along the edge of the cross. And all that is, you can do it many different ways. You can just, do a dot with the brush. You can just do circles. You choose what you want your fringe to look like. And it's going to take a little bit. Just take your time, have fun with it. Maybe try some different shapes. You can clean up an edge while you're at it. By all means, do so. And this could take forever, so I'm just going to pause this while I go through and do that.